No, you're not seeing it wrong. The video is actually that long. Why? Because the damn Kalpas right about now just so happen to be long and tedious. But you'll see exactly what I mean once we get there. Welcome back to Nocturne No Fusion, where it's time to go all the way to hell. Even if I don't know if I'll live to tell the tale after this. As much as I dread the idea, there is one last thing I need to do in order to unlock the true demon ending. That is, to finish up the 4th and 5th Kalpa of the Labirynth of Amala. And let me level with you right now, it won't be a walk in the park. Either you're at your top of your game, or have godlike demons, or you won't make it. Before getting there though, remember how I mentioned the shady brokers being locked by both the stat and alignment doors in the 3rd Kalpa? Well, now that I have 20 magic, I can open the door and meet the broker I wanted, giving me the level 50 Arahabaki with support skills. Definitely useful if you lack a demon with defensive and support skill, just remember that it costs 70,000 Maka. Also, on my way, Oberon's skill changed Medea Rama into Medea Rahen, making sure he will stay for a little while longer. After that, I exit the 3rd Kalpa and unlock the gate to the 4th, and now hell can truly begin. Literally. The first door might give you a familiar vibe. It's cursed, like that hallway in the 2nd Kalpa. It's essentially the same deal, you take damage by walking no matter what you do. Liftoma is completely useless against this. Doesn't help that demons here are very high level now too, so if you will explore the place like I did while it was cursed, be very careful when the encounter compass glows red. Across the cursed area, there's a broker that sells a Mothman with all Madain spells and Megiddola on, which I didn't get, and we arrive at the gimmick core, the 12 meters of eternity, a portal which will take you to a different place depending on the moon cycle. I first enter with a half moon into Hell's Vault. This is a place that has a lot of good loot inside mystical chests if you're willing to stay multiple moon cycles and encounters to get them. In there I learned Glacial Blast from the Miasma Magatama, a skill that will prove fantastic against many enemies from here on, and I replaced Medea Rama for it. I have healers in spades anyway. Also, Queen Mob gets the Arhan, and we encounter a soul of an old man advising to think things through and asking if we agree. Here you want to wait 3 full minutes before saying yes. No joke here, so go make a sandwich while you wait. But if you do this, you will enter a room with 100,001 Maka, a death stone, and a mystical chest with some smoke balls, so there is some merit to this. I leave Hell's Vault and go back to the entrance of the 12 meters of eternity and re-enter with a moon during an odd phase, like 7 out of 8, to go to the Road of Hell for a death stone and then go back and enter on an even number phase to Hell's Maze. This is a place where the map is completely unusable, by the way, and the doors can soft lock you if you don't know where to go. They say that the place is unescapable, but somewhat did a while back with a certain item, a bell. We do need that item, so I backtracked my way out to the cemetery outside of Ikebukuro. We get the Afterlife Bell, heal up, and go all the way back into Hell's Maze. Not before getting the Kamurogi Magatama for my bug collection though. Back to Hell's Maze, in the upper left and bottom right corners we meet 2 souls. One of a former human who worked hard but fell from grace and became a psychopath because he wanting revenge, and another who chastises humans for their nature is crueler than demons, and that he tried to sound like who he wasn't in front of a certain girl we should know of. We use the Afterlife Bell on both and their souls are freed and will go to the Cathedral Shadows. In case you don't understand, those are the souls of Sakahagi and Fudomimi, and now you can fuse them at the Cathedral. I have no need for them since I can't fuse demons, and I could have skipped them, but I did it anyway for completion purposes. I leave the maze, go back to the 12 meters gate, and enter on a new moon into Hell's Hall, another cursed area. Head north-northeast until you hit the door to the Wick King's Hall. Time to make a new team for a boss fight. Now, I don't care what you like to use, so let me be crystal clear about this. You either use Anathema or Satan as a Magatama to null death, or you will die. The fight will be impossible to win. Next, the more death null or higher you have in your team, the better. Some physical wind and thunder resistance would be nice too, but that's to a very minor degree. I end up making a team of myself with Satan equipped, Titania to heal, Wukong for buffs, and Ifrit for fire and magic buffs, with Black Frost, Shikioji, and Arabaki on standby. We enter the hall, and we are greeted by the master of this floor, Beelzebub, who spills the beans on how the collection of the candelabra is not to give them back to Lucifer alone, but to make the one that brings them back a demon of chaos. He then challenges us to test our might as a demon candidate, also putting on his best suit. The Lord of the Flies here is the first buff that actually tries to kill you every time. I'll start by saying that it has a good 16,000 HP and 10,000 MP, so this will be a long fight. He resists everything except Fire and Almighty, which is not a weakness, but it will deal full damage. I spend the first few turns buffing and debuffing its attack and defenses, then since he doesn't have the Kunda and the Kaja yet, then I go on the offensive with Magma Axes, which deal about 1000 damage each by now. He tries to fight back with the normal attack, Mazionga and Mazandine, but with a minimized attack, it's easy to survive. I need to rack up damage now that I can, as fast as possible. I then replace Ifrit with Shikioji just in time for phase 2. He uses the Kaja and Focus, and now my Magma Axis is doing just about 600 damage. I try to reapply buffs, but he then uses a Dekunda and one-shots Titania with a focused attack for 700 damage. I debuff while trying to revive her, but now Dekunda is becoming more and more frequent. In other words, the fight just got that much more harder. And I need to stall until I find a new opening again, chipping away what little HP I can every turn. He then uses his signature move, Death Flies, an almighty attack with 100% insta-kill chance if you don't null death. And he will use it very often. Fun fact, Death Flies is, in terms of power, one of the 2 strongest almighty spells you can get access to. Anyways, the fight is, like I said, a stalling contest where I try to wait for an opening, unsuccessfully because of the Kunda spamming. I see a small opening during a double Death Flies, while I had a Rakunda on, but it doesn't last for more than 1 turn. Dealing roughly 350 damage a turn, it's a real war of attrition. Overall though, the fight is nothing I can't handle, and as long as I have a few lucky dodges and good MP management, it should be fine. And it was going relatively well until a Dekaja plus Focus, which followed by a Dekunda and attack on myself, triggering Endure. So now I'm even more on edge. And after another double Death Flies, I get him to low HP, but that happiness won't last. He goes for the Kaja Focus again, then 2 turns after, despite me knowing an attack was coming, I didn't use Tetrakarn, and Beelzebub ended me in one fell critical swoop. "20 minutes, literally down the drain. But now, I do have a better battle plan. The initial tactics of buffs and debuffs is the same, however, I make sure to not have a +2 buff and -2 debuff ratio on each stat. The reason is because, like this, the Kunda and the Kaja spam will be less frequent if it works like for other bosses. Either that, or I probably got a little luckier. Anyway, thanks to this, I can deal about 700 damage with each magma axis and still tank attacks properly. By the time I swap Ifrit with Shikioji again, I've dealt a good enough damage as it is, and I can also now attack with Wukong and Shikioji to increase the damage range even if ever so slightly. Like so, I get to phase 2, and instead of healing buffs and debuffs, he goes for Megidolaon and Death Flies, which we can barely survive, but it's still possible. The trick to this fight now is to keep Beelzebub into an offensive pattern. Damage is something I can heal while keeping up the pressure, but reapplying debuffs and buffs forces me to stop attacking. The plan works as he keeps smiting me with all sorts of attacks, keeping the physical ones on Shikioji for some reason. He does use the Kunda or the Kaja occasionally, but since I don't overdo it with reapplying either of buffs and debuffs, it's not as frequent to call it dangerous. I also need to manage Tanya's MP since Medea Rahen is kinda costly. By the time I enter its low HP range, I don't get complacent and keep reading its moves. And after a long fight that lasted half of the first attempt, I roast the damn fly.
Ready?
You know, this is probably the beginning of my suffering, isn't it? In the back of the arena, there's a few mystical chests. Abuse the fact that the arena itself is a no-encounter area and get all that loot. Trust me, you will not regret it. When you head back, you'll see that the curse is gone, so now you can explore all of the Kalpa freely and safely. A Mothman here tells us that we can continue, but we need the star key to unlock the gate to the 5th Kalpa. This is one annoying backtrack, so follow me. Exit the 4th Kalpa, enter the 2nd and clear the old curse hallway area, now with no curse but still high level demons. Talk to Ifrit, he'll tell you a drinking friend has it. Leave the labyrinth as a whole, go to Nyx's bar in Ginza and talk to Loki. He'll tell you he sold a key to a mannequin. Go to the junk shop where you can buy the Kamurogi, Vimana, and Sophia Magatamas and talk to the shopkeeper. And you will get the key for free. Keep up, we're not done. This key opens gold doors. And where have we spotted one? Back in the 3rd Kalpa in the central hub after the stat door area. Open that door, drop into the 4th Kalpa, trigger the switch, and the gate to the 5th Kalpa will open. While I was backtracking to the actual 4th Kalpa, it's here that I made a pit stop to the Mantra HQ. In the basement, there is a door that opens if you have a base strength of 25 or more. I open it to get the Gaia Magatama, a powerful physical-based one with potent multi-target physical hits. Just be careful to insta-kill weaknesses if you use it. Back to the actual road, I get back to the 4th Kalpa, clear the road to hell, so odd number face on the gate, and we're done with this place. Worst backtracking ever. Anyway, Lucifer drops a few bombs about the truth of the Fiend fights. He wants to create a new Demon of Darkness, a general to lead his army against God. So he gave the candelabra to all the Fiends he deemed worthy and let them fight, Battle Royale style, to see which would come out on top as the best. And they all fought me. Whatever. As well as explain Hijiri's involvement in all this mess. He died when the conception occurred, but came back to life as a mannequin because of the will of Amala, punishing his past sins, which he can't remember though, by making him witness and record what becomes of the world. After this, he gives us a choice. Either we go back and leave as a human, or go deeper into the labyrinth and meet him in person, if we don't trust God's will. Now the 5th Kalpa is open. I release Sparna and dive in. In the very first room we enter after the candelabrum door, we hear a familiar voice. It's Dante from the Devil May Cry series welcoming us to hell. He offers his services to us. The fee will be decided on a coin toss. We guess correctly, we pay him 1 maca. We lose, we pay half of whatever we have. If you know what's going on, you will easily win. That coin is an Easter egg of DMC2, and it's the very same double heads coin. So pick heads all the time. We pay him 1 maca, introduce ourselves, and he joins our party, and what a party member he is! Being level 80, he has high stats across the board and great resistances, not to mention powerful moves like Rebellion, a physical undodgeable high hit crit move, Ebony and Ivory that hits 4 times for free MP, Round Trip and Whirlwind, essentially Maziodyne and Mazandyne, Holy Star, it's a Dacunda, Provoke, a no-cost taunt that heals Dante's MP, and Endure, never yield. Intimidate is a passive skill to help recruitments that can go the first chance you get, in my opinion. Anyway, the 5th Kalpa. Let me be absolutely frank here. This place is hell on so many levels, especially if you're ambushed by the combo of Lilith and Nyx. The latter has Debilitate, Glacial Blast, Dormina, and Eternal Rest. You sleep, you die. And Lilith has Allure, a 45% chance of being charmed that, I swear, feels like a lot more. I got screwed over by them so many times, it's not funny at all. Always ambushed, of course. If you're hit by either of those, you'd better be able to heal them immediately or reset just to save time. It didn't take long for me to actually decide to use the Yomante Magatama just to move around the place. Anyway, rant over. The gimmick here is to notice fake walls by running into them and finding the switches to enter the next section. It's not overly complicated since the enemies actually do that for you. Past this floor, we enter an area with doors that will open depending on your demon stats. Thresholds are high, up to 25 even for strength and vitality and magic, and 20 for luck and agility. You need to choose a demon in stock and use it to open the doors, and Dante unfortunately does not count. The door I wanted to cross first is the strength door, and luckily Black Frost is the easiest way in, since at base level, he joins with 24 strength, so 1 level up in that will do. While doing this, I learned the Deathbound skill from the Gaia Magatama and replaced Boltstorm with it. After a bit past the strength door, we need to show the demon who's been with us the longest time. Now, remember our good old friend Pixie? Well, if you kept her with you throughout the journey, even if you fused her, not sacrificed, use her to open the door. Regardless of her current form, she will transform back into the Uber Pixie. Looks like a normal Pixie, but it's far from it. She's a level 80 Pixie with 30 in all stats and incredibly good skills. This is definitely a worthy reward for your loyalty to her. With her, even if you have bad demons, unlikely as it may sound, you can open all stat doors and explore this area. Just be careful of the enemies. You wouldn't want to redo all this unless your save state's coming. We find our way to the bottom and it's time for the final boss of the labyrinth. As preparation, do the opposite of Beelzebub and make a party that resists Expel or Light. I equipped the Sophia Magatama on me and used Dante, Titania, and Shikioji. We enter the final door and hear a voice. The same one we heard after the first Kalpa, in fact. That voice is Metatron, the only angel still faithful to God, who is hell-bent on stopping us. I'll tell you this immediately. Megatron over here has Mahamahan, and its accuracy seems higher than usual. Resist light or there's a good chance you die on the first turn. Metatron has 16,000 HP and 10,000 MP like Beelzebub, and is resistant to everything except for ice in this fight. With this team, a physical approach might be better though. Rebellion and Divine Shot have high crit chances, so it's easy to get extra turns, even if you do half damage. You can take it somewhat easy during the first phase, since the only moves he will have are Mahamahan and Holy Wrath, which are useless, and its normal attack. From phase 2, he will have the Kunda and the Kaja, as well as other moves, like Tarukaja, Makakaja, and Megidolaon. When he buffs, make sure to have Shikioji ready to the Kaja. The less buff he has on him, the easier it will be later, especially if you're talking about Makakaja. He will usually go for either the Makakaja and Megidolaon combo, or the Tarukaja normal attack combo. Both are survivable since basically he attacks only once. However, he also has the ability to make things worse. But luckily, we have a Dante with a free Dekunda on hand to cancel those. The fight goes around like this for me. Myself and Dante trying to take the most crits possible, Titania healing and Shikioji removing buffs each turn. If Titania doesn't need to heal, she can use Glacial Blast for some damage. I'm 9 minutes into the fight, and I get to phase 3 and things go south when he busts his signature move, Fire of Sinai, an almighty version of a multi-hit random spell, killing Shikioji on the spot and crippling everyone else. And he wasn't buffed, by the way. One move altered the course of the fight this much, but I wasn't ready to give up. I take out Aura Habaki and start raising my defense. Dante barely survives a boosted Fire of Sinai double hit, so now I have to balance out how I use Aura Habaki for support between buffs and the Kaja. I start to also play slowly to think all of my moves through in every detail. Titania was now on full heal duty, no questions asked. Luckily, he was close to being at low HP now. One Divine Shot crit brought him there, but now I was even more scared. With a +2 Rakukaja, a double hit from Fire of Sinai can still be a death sentence to some. So I tried to make the AI work for me again, applying debuffs with Warcry, which works, cutting away one turn from Metatron whenever I did it, so he couldn't buff up. It lowers my DPS every 2 turns, but I can work with that. 17 minutes into the fight, he does a debilitate Fire of Sinai, but I survive well enough despite a double hit and healed the debuff. Unfortunately, Aura Habaki goes down and I barely survive enough to not trigger Endure, but one turn later, Megatron did it here for me. Without a 4th demon, things have slowed down massively and MP are running low. Luckily, he went for the Kaja plus Megidolaon, which was okay damage-wise, and I decided to go on with a 3-man team, since he had to have few HP, so I carry on the best I can, until... No joke, guys, this fight was 20 minutes long, 5 of which were of pure adrenaline near the end. But with Metatron gone, nothing can stop us from reaching Lucifer in person. We enter a few corridors very familiar to us, and at long last, we're ready to face the old man in the wheelchair. We get congratulated for our efforts. And after all the cheers of the demons, Lucifer will tell us what to do. We need to enter the Tower of Kagetsuchi, stop the three gods aiming for creation, and destroy Kagatsuchi itself. To help us in the endeavor, Lucifer unlocks the true power of the Marugari Magatama for us and bestows upon us the heart of a demon. Now we're locked into the true demon ending, and we're sent back to the Vortex world. We wake up in the same hospital room where we first woke up after the conception, and now Marugari has a new skill in Pierce, which we want to get as soon as possible. But that's gonna be a story for another time. I think the video is long enough as it is, personally. I admit I kinda stretched the Beelzebub and Metatron boss fights when I could, but I wanted you to have a very good idea of what you're dealing with. I want to take a moment to also say one last thing. Well, at the time of the release of this video, Nocturne HD is almost being released, or even released if you have early access. I'm gonna finish the challenge with this version of the game. If I ever do new challenges on Nocturne, it will be from the HD remaster. Regardless, with this ordeal done, I think I'll go have a nap. Thank you for watching this whole video. If you got this far, you guys are the best. And let me know what you think of the video with a like and a comment, as well as click on the subscribe button and bell icon to be updated on when a new video will come out. This has been Bahamut Raven, and until next time, the Hellgate is closed shut. Have a nice day, and take care.